One second. Give me 1 second. Okay. I mean, there's not much going on. I'm okay as far. I mean, I'm in a lot of pain. My knees hurt.
Okay.
I could barely get up out of bed. And that's my main concern. I'm not like. There's no medical issue right now. Just as far more of a concern.
Okay. That was gonna be my next question. Do you need medical assistance?
No, I mean I need more of a legal advice.
Okay.
Legal advice. I made. Let me just run you down. Pretty much, I spoke to Officer Dida. I believe it's Dida. I'm not sure how to use.
Yes.
Okay, she was great. She was very professional. I made 2 reports. I made one, I believe, on. I believe it's on June 30th, 2025, and I pretty much briefly. We spoke briefly on regards of being exposed to electromagnetic frequencies for an extended period of time. So pretty much, I had and I feel very what was the word? Very gullible. I didn't know this. I'm finding out all this information. I didn't even know. You're really not supposed to have your internet router right next to your leg, and I'm a gamer, so I'm over here trying to get the.
I never knew that either.
I didn't know that shit either. I'm sorry for cursing, but I'm like, I didn't know that.
Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm trying to be as real. I respect you guys, and I'm sorry to have to even waste your time.
Don't hold back. You don't need to.
No. But so I didn't know that. I even watched. I just watched a Geek Squad video where they said, look, and I didn't know this. A microwave has 2.4 hertz gigahertz, and a Wi-Fi router has 2.5 gigahertz, and pretty much it's like a 1 minute video. I mean, you can YouTube does on this, of course, on your time. Does a internet router do more damage than a microwave? And it's like a 1 minute video, like a very professional Geek Squad person, and actually does. And the thing about it is, they even recommended that your Wi-Fi router don't expose yourself to a Wi-Fi router. Pretty much, don't be next to it. Like mom tells you, don't be next to the microwave waiting for your goddamn hot pocket.
Don't stare in it. Well,
We've all learned this, so it's pretty much the same thing. And I've had it for past 3 months next to my leg. 'Cause I don't go out much. I'm not antisocial, but I'm just staying out of trouble.
there's nothing wrong with that. You said you're a gamer. What do you play?
I play Marvel Rivals and stuff like that. I just bought Planet Coaster 2. So, I game. I play video games. I do have mental health. I have anxiety, depression. So, it is what it is. I take my meds, staying out of trouble, help around the house. I'm doing good. I've come a long way, pretty much. So, not to get sidetracked. Me and Officer Dida spoke briefly on that. And she took my report for credit, and she was very professional about it, and I appreciate it. She didn't Baker Act me. But then, what she said?
Very professional.
Yeah, she was very professional. She didn't Baker Act me. That's always a win in this regards.
The Baker Act, and from what you're telling me, you're all like, we would I'll ask you, do you want to hurt yourself?
Absolutely not.
Do you want to hurt others?
Absolutely not.
Okay. So right there, those are the 2 main questions like we will ask you.
Yeah, exactly. And now I go on to yeah. I mean that's how normally it should be, right? So Officer Dita, then she said, the first thing you want to do, you want to go to the hospital and make sure that you document on your body, like if you can take pictures and stuff. And I'm like, I appreciate it because I've never been in this situation. This is a very first for me. I mean, I've heard of things like this. You watch movies and shit like that. But this is actually the first time me experiencing it. So she told me, hey, go to the hospital. Try to see if they can, do some scans and stuff, blood tests, whatever the case may be. And I'm like, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So I went over to St. Cloud Hospital that same day. I forget the time, but it was on June 30th, that same day. So the doctor, he saw my legs and he's like, damn, like, so obviously something's irritating you. And I'm like, yeah, man. I mean, the only thing that I can think of is that my internet router is right next to my legs and I'm playing all day. And he's like, well, I really don't know much about exposure to electromagnetic frequency. And I mean, as an MD, as a physician, you should be kind of like not an expert, but you should know a little bit about it, you know. So he told me he don't really know, but he says your legs are very concerning, and I would like to do some scans and some blood work and stuff. And I got my blood, and I'm like, okay, I can't afford it, but I'm here, because I have to pay 50% copay. So emergency visits are very expensive.
No, I trust me. I know even with my insurance.
I mean, I'm broke though. You got a great job, man. You got a great job, so.
Co-pays are still expensive.
Yeah, I know, I appreciate it. But so, and then they roll up the TV, and I spoke to MD Tatel Neal. So he's a psychiatrist or whatever. I never seen them, so he doesn't know anything about me. I see a therapist, I see a psychiatrist once a month, and we have a great relationship. I take my meds, and we have a good. He knows what I'm going through, and I don't know what he's going through. I just know he's a great person, and he's great with me.
Listen, you're only talking to a psychiatrist.
Okay.
Obviously, if they saw something was going on with you, they would recommend.
They would have red flagged me. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So.
You're just telling what's going on.
Yeah. So. The issue, I'm sorry to cut you off. The issue was that Tatel Neal, this guy on the TV, he's like, he asked me the same questions. Do you want to hurt yourself? I said, absolutely not. He's like, do you want to hurt others? I said, absolutely not. And then I'm like, 1 second, please. Can you just take the time to it's like, I just kind of got offended because you're asking me mental health questions. And I'm like, sir, I'm here for medical reasons. And you're asking me questions that, very respectfully. I didn't raise my voice, didn't escalate my voice. It's all recorded, And I said, very respectfully, and I guess he got upset. Maybe, us men are very testosterone, testosterone is a great thing, especially when you have a title like that, this is. So he immediately said, he didn't even tell me there and then. The nurse came out. And she said, we're going to have to Baker Act you. The doctor said that you're having delusions of your internet router. And I'm like, I do not consent. I give no consent. I'm thinking to myself, are you serious right now? My mom was literally about to go over to, on vacation. And I got to watch the whole house by myself. I got a lot of responsibilities. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, seriously? And they Baker Acted me. They never gave me my lab results. They gave me a hydrocortisone cream that cost $1. I could have went to the dollar store and bought that. They never gave me nothing. They embarrassed me. They discriminated against me. And I went over to the behavior center. So at the behavior center, the doctor said, hey, why are you here? This is a silly reason. I mean, I can't believe it. He's like, I can't believe it. He actually told me, he's like, yeah, when you get home, you want to keep your internet router as far as you can to your body because it can irritate your body. And I'm like, I'm just. What was that?
That's what my advice was going to be for you.
Yeah.
So I keep mine. I used to keep mine in the same area where I came.
Yeah.
Now my new house, I have it in a separate area, like in a different room, so it covers more of the house. But I keep it up high as well.
Yeah, that's what I do now. I mean, I definitely took their advice, but I'm just concerned because pretty much right now I did want to speak to Officer Dita, but it's fine talking to you. You seem like an amazing person. But when I they called my parents like a kid. They called my mom. They called my grandfather. They said, look, he's a great person. He has great character. There's no reason for him to be here. He'll be home very, very soon because at the end of the day, legally, they still have to follow protocol and the minimum is 3 days. No matter if you're supposed to be there or not. You can R&R, but RR is going to take longer than just the minimum.
Yeah.
So
the way it works with that facility, like if you went voluntarily, then you can leave at any time.
But I didn't. I never signed. Yeah.
I guess the hospital sent you there,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost 3 days.
Yeah, but the thing is, the reason, even you just said it, the reason you get sent to these, if you want to hurt yourself or you want to hurt someone else. And to have someone say that I'm having delusions of my internet router, when you have valid claims, you have visible irritation, you have pain, but yet, what you don't have is dignity, and you get discriminated. And honestly, I truly believe that, a regular person without mental health goes in there and with the same claim, they're not going to get sent to a Baker Act facility. But since I'm labeled as mental health, and you don't know anything about me, just my past, you go on past, but yet you're not going on the actual facts. You're going on he say, she say, and, now I got a $6,000. It was about a 40-minute drive over to the behavior center that I have to pay, and I don't even know how much that cost it. Just for the visit, that's like $3,000 on top of the emergency fee. And when I was at the behavior center, my body locked. This has never happened. When they drew my blood, they didn't find no drugs. I took a pee test at the hospital and at the behavior center. And when I got my blood drawn, this has never happened to me. My body fainted, and not only that, it locked up like if I was gonna die. Yeah, and the nurse was so scared. Like, she said, "Wow, that has never ever happened." And the guy in charge, I don't know what they call him, but pretty much the guy in charge. He looked at me like, what just happened? And I'm like, what happened? I don't remember. I remember my blood being drawn, and I told her I do not feel good at all, and I don't even know how long I was gone for. And he told me, he's like, yo, you locked up like you were about to die. And I looked that up, and that's when your body goes into vasovagal syncope. That means when your nervous system doesn't know how to act. And since my nervous system has been damaged by this exposure to electromagnetic frequency, I'm pretty sure that's like, I'm not a physician, of course. I would have to go to an expert, but clearly St. Cloud Hospital doesn't have any qualified experts to handle the so-called nerve damage that they so-called promote on their advertisement.
I can't speak for the medical professionals because I'm not one.
Yeah, but I mean,
I don't know too much about a lot of that stuff. Like, I never knew that it could affect. Like,
it's all new to me. Yeah, it's all new to me.
And I'm not doubting what you're saying at all. Don't think that.
No, you're fine.
Like, if that does happen, that's crazy. That you would never expect.
Exactly.
Something like that to happen.
Exactly.
Something they sell. Everybody uses their own. And listen, everybody's body's different. I know that.
Well, they sell microwaves too. They don't really tell you stand away from the microwave. There's really no warning of that. So yeah.
So like I said, everybody's body reacts differently to everything.
Yeah, I might be hypersensitive to this type of frequency. There's a name. Yeah, there's a.
I'm not a medical professional. I don't know too much about it.
Yeah, it has a name. It's called I believe, I'm not too sure, but I believe that people that have like this sensitivity is like hypersensitivity to electromagnetic frequency. It's actually seen in a few cases.
Yeah.
So I mean, what can I do? Because I did follow up with Dita. And I told her that I had called back, and I'm making complaints and stuff because it's like you literally I got about $8,000 to $10,000, that I gotta pay.
My advice right now, what you can try and do is, look into maybe a nerve specialist. I don't there are specialists for things.
Yes.
You can Google them, everything. As far as you said, I'm guessing you make complaints against the hospital.
Yeah, that's very it's unprofessional. I'm being discriminated.
Listen, just like people can make complaints against officers, you can call and make a complaint against them. Tell them how you feel about what happened.
Yes.
So you don't have to tell me if there was any result. what the results were.
I don't even know the results. They never gave me any results.
They never gave you the results?
No, they just sent me on my way. That's the crazy. I never got. They like wait 30 minutes. We're gonna give you your blood test. 30 minutes go by. I mean, they're about to hold me down to the bed. You know, there was no fighting on my end, but they were ready to hold me down, and they even needled me like if I was fighting. You know, so.
And I'll tell you how I like. I can't tell you how. Like, you know, I don't know how like they operate in the medical field. If like how I'm talking to you now.
Yes.
Do I see prior history of calls? Yes. I saw you spoke to Officer Dita. Yes. Okay, but I don't hold that against anything like your history. If you're not acting violent or anything, like somebody's not acting violent, I'm not saying you. Let's use.
No, I'm not taking it. I mean, you're very professional. I'm not gonna get offended.
Hold past against them, especially if you're called because you have concerns, you have questions. Listen, if you have a mental disorder or anything, listen, I'm not gonna hold that against you. I'm here to assist you with anything that any questions you have.
I appreciate that.
I'm gonna try to assist you the best I can and give you the best answers I can. And hopefully I can answer some of your questions.
Sure.
Because, listen, I don't have every answer. Nobody does.
Exactly.
I'm not, and now it makes me think, maybe I should move certain electronics away from where I'm sitting.
I don't want to scare you now.
No.
Yeah.
Tons of different things that go on.
Yeah, I mean, you're in a UFO. I mean, it's a joke, but I mean, you're in a pretty badass car, so. It does make you think,
So, listen, I have electronics around me all the
Yeah,
time.
man, you got all them cool ass gadgets.
I have electronics strapped to my
Yeah,
body.
yeah, right.
So anything could give frequencies, like stuff like that. I know
Yeah.
I'm not 100% like familiar, like how radiation, everything. I know you can get radiation exposure from stuff. At times radiation's good for you. So it's a ton of different things.
Yeah.
But you can always, like I said, look up a specialist, like for the nerve, like if it's affecting your nerves.
Like a nerve specialist. But the thing is that I don't have insurance. Should I? I mean, this is not against you guys. You guys have been St. Cloud Police have been very respectful and professional. Even with my past history of being an asshole to you guys, I appreciate even the respect, and I don't deserve the respect, and I really appreciate the respect, even with my past history. So I really do honor you guys, and I thank you for your service. But the thing is that I have nothing against you. I have no complaints against you guys. But this St. Cloud Hospital, I mean, there's a bit of an issue because my rights were violated. I was discriminated against mental health. I mean, I'm protected from discrimination. Discrimination from being mentally ill is also discrimination, and it's actually a very tough one. So, should I seek a lawyer to see? Because if I have to go seek a nerve specialist and stuff, maybe he can help me get the funds for this stuff because I can't afford it.
You could. So that was going to be the other thing I was going to tell you.
Yeah.
I didn't want to cut you off.
I don't want to cut you off either, but I don't want to have to.
You can definitely contact a lawyer and see what they say.
Yeah.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with it. I tell people all the time, listen, if you got something going on, you think a lawyer needs to get involved, listen, I've contacted lawyers for personal stuff as well.
Yeah.
Like, I've had, just to get advice on stuff, or if I had a small claims, people do for multiple different reasons.
Yeah.
And there's something wrong with you contacting a lawyer to see what they say, see if you have a case.
Okay.
So,
all right.
I would say on top, when you made a complaint against the hospital, did you speak to somebody on the phone?
I spoke to a supervisor. Yeah, I'm not even. I don't even want to step foot on their property because if I'm stepping foot on their property, they have the authority to Baker Act you just because they don't want to deal with you, and that's it's bull.
So the medical professionals have a different standard in how they do things with Baker Act. I don't. Like I said, we don't follow their ways they do it. We have our two. So there's other circumstances.
Of course, yeah. I mean, you don't got to get into the detail. You don't got to get into the detail.
And I'm not saying you're crazy. I'm not saying that. You have concerns, and legitimate concerns you have. So, like I said, the two questions that we mainly asked are the ones I asked you, which Officer Dia asked you as well. Um, Obviously, there are other circumstances that we can date crack somebody. If they're calling, they're a danger to themselves.
Of course, yeah, of course.
They're running in the street and running in traffic. We can make a determination.
And that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, of course.
To hurt themselves or to get hit by a car, and now you're putting somebody else at, in that peril now. So we want to make sure everybody's safe.
Of course.
So I really hope things work out with this for you. As far as if you do speak to a lawyer, see what they say.
I'll do that. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Like I said, the worst they could say is, "I'm sorry, there's not much you can go on with this."
Yeah, I mean, I'll just I'll give it to God, and I'll keep my head up. It's just I was just concerned that I don't want to be sleeping and then I'm dead the next day. You know what I mean? I mean, nobody wants that. I live in St. Cloud. It's it's nice here. It's a blessing, and I'm doing so good. Yeah, I have prior history, especially with you guys. I was on drugs. Of course, I was smoking Molly. I was doing weed and stuff. But I'm doing so good now. I'm home.
You know what? That makes me happy to hear that you are doing that.
I'm not doing drugs. I'm not wasting. I might waste my money on a video game. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I'd rather waste my money on a video game than go out and buy drugs, and it doesn't help my mental health and doesn't help my life. So I'm making a lot of better decisions. I'm speaking with people with respect, with kindness, and courtesy. So I've come a long way, and to go to a place like that and just kind of be like, oh well, you're pretty much like pull up 2 years ago and be like, oh well, you know what, 2 years is not too much to change. Go on, he say, she say, well, she said this, she said that. Take the time out and sit with me, look me in the eye, ask me the golden question. That's how you know the truth.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate it. I won't waste more of your time. I like to end on that. And I just appreciate it. And I really do appreciate that if I ever was in fear for my life, or someone was trying to break in or rob my house, I can call you and you guys would defend me. So I do appreciate that. And I pray that God protects you out there, and it's tough out there. So I do appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, you have a good one, man. Take care.
I hope you feel better. I hope things work out. All right.
I appreciate you, man.
Just give us a call. All right.
All right, man. You have a good one. Take care.
You too.
Bye. That officer was so professional, so amazing. God bless him. Okay. So I